What is up, everyone? Welcome to Mechs on Deck. It is Tuesday, October 13th.
You get it?
Are you alluding to the episode number, which is
I am alluding to the episode number.
69, baby.
Nice.
How is everyone doing tonight? How are you doing, Chewy?
Good, man. I'm a little tired. Like mental drain from just teaching online students. Like, I'll give you a hint. This is what I want you to do. I want you to blankly stare into the camera when I ask you anything. What's 2 plus 2? Come on. What's 2 plus 2? We're adding 2. Now get up and walk away. That's what teaching online is right now. So yeah, it's other than that, life moves on. I'm still waiting for Essay Godspeed. One of these days it'll show up, right? In like 6 years. Who knows? But you, sir, have a fresh cut.
Yeah. A little bit of a
trial. The no better time for trial and error.
Yeah, so I got a new set of like beard trimmer. Like I got a new beard trimmer, and I bought one that was like a little bit nicer because I've had a couple in the last like 5 years or so. And I was like, dude, I'm just gonna get one that's like super highly rated so that way I can have it for a while. And it also came with some hair. It came with like a larger trimmer and like hair clipping guards, and I was like, dude, screw it, I'm just gonna try to cut my own hair. And I did, and I tried to do the whole like undercut thing that I normally have, like the hairstyle I've had for a while now. And I took the line a little too high on this side, actually. Wait, no, it's this side, sorry, seeing myself inverted. I took the line too high on this side, and I was like, well, I look like Macklemore right now, and that's not what I'm going for. So I was like, screw it, I'll just cut it off, it'll grow back. So yeah, we're back to short, the short hair, at least for a little bit.
Hey, that's the difference. Like, since you already have, like, your hair was never super duper long whenever you had like your normal hairstyle, whereas like I can't be like, let's just try something.
Yeah.
Donate some of your hair to be Osiris, be a good friend. I don't know if he would want my hair. My hair's it would not show the fact that Mr. Enrico is Italian, and I don't know too many blonde Italians. And two, my hair is like it's not anything of what my hair, it doesn't do anything. If I put a bunch of crap, when I had my hair was shorter, I would put a bunch of crap in it and it would last for like 20 minutes, where Eric's hair takes to the pomade real well.
Yeah, like you have a lot of hair, but like your individual strands of hair are much thinner than my individual strands of hair. So my like stand up, yours just like yours play well to the long styling. Like when I had like longer hair and it was just like it would be like out here.
It would just grow out. Yeah, it was just grow out. Where mine, like even when I had long hair, my hair would be, it would go down and then it would do this stupid curl all the way around. And then like once I grew through that, I had to kind of train I went through the phase. This is back in like 2010 when I grew it out. And it would like it did the stupid curl. So I just wore a hat or I wore like sunglasses and pinned my hair back. Because I used to just have my hair straight in my forehead. And then I didn't start like doing a part until my hair got longer. And then once my hair got longer, I was able to like actually kind of get it out of the way. But yeah, that in between, I mean, you had long hair. That in between phase is a nightmare.
Yeah. Yeah, it's rough. But yeah, my hair's like super wavy, like borderline curly. It's not as bad. My brother has like a straight up fro when he grows his hair out. Some people have given us some money and things. So thank you,
Yes.
DD Decline, for the 69 bits.
Nice.
Thank you for the 69 bits as well.
Nice.
Kinnick, thanks for the Twitch Prime for 9 months. Congratulations, we just had a baby. Little Twitch baby. Noe KB, thank you for the tier 1 for 3 months. And Frothy KK with 17 months. Tier
That's
1.
weird to think about.
Yeah. 17.
That's really weird to think. Jesus Christ. I mean, it kind of makes sense. It's weird. I feel like I've been doing this forever, but I also, and then when I see that number, I'm like, it can't be that long.
Yeah. It is very weird. Also, Andy J. Kim wants to see me with long wavy hair. We could maybe do that later. I could pull up a picture. I got some from back in the band days when they were like, it might not be my hair like down, but
There you go. Keep Noob with the 5 gifted subs. Thank you. So you have a cooler mail day because I finally drove over there and gave you the mail that's been sitting. Good Lord. Lang, well done. Good job, bud. You did a good job parenting. Lang asked me to go. So Lang has a not spoilers, doxing, maybe, I don't know, revealing personal details. Lang has a first grader, and he's like, I'm pretty sure my first grader's too smart for first grade. Can you go ask, do you have any friends in second grade? And I was like, second grade is like, those are my homies. He's like, can you go get some problems that are like kind of further along in second grade level, and can you send them my way? And so I did that today, and I sent it to him like 3 hours ago. It was like a lot of work too. So well done, Mike.
Also, I don't know if you're doxing him at all, because I'm pretty sure
yeah,
his son has made an appearance on the stream when he's been a guest here. But yeah, I've got some fun mail, some things that I'm excited for. So I guess we'll go with me and what's on my desk and my mail first. So first off, I'm going to start off with what's on my desk, because that's not, it's pretty exciting. I mean, just in general, but it hasn't changed. And the reason it hasn't changed is because of the mail. But I still got my Bauer Hyperfuse Origins on it for the time being. Palm plate, mauves, Luba 205 grade 0, brass bottom. This thing sounds amazing. Yeah. My favorite thing about this board, honestly, there's something about the front height and the typing angle that just feels so right with this board. That I just like it compared to a lot of other boards, because I don't, Chewy, you know me, and chat, I'm sure you know, I don't use wrist rests. I'm not a wrist rest guy. I'm not a like desk mat guy, although I'm starting to appreciate desk mats a little bit more. But this feels it just feels so good, just from the beginning.
I just real quick. So for those who don't know, Osiris, the way I see Osiris is through his Logitech cam, and holding up Hyperfuse for like 10 seconds through your white balance of your Logitech cam, like super far out of whack.
Did it really? So did it try to? Yeah,
I sent you a picture, and it's like super pale and blue, and it was I looked up right when someone said, "Dang, Osiris, you looking tan." I was like, "The fuck are you talking about?" Like, he looks like Casper the Ghost right now.
Yeah. Well, yeah, my Logitech cam is it's not one to re-white balance, but hey, you know what? The stream cam's still looking good.
It'd be like that sometimes.
But speaking of desk mats, got a couple. These were involved with the package from Chewy Dixie. This is like the white and black floral mat, which looks pretty freaking cool. That nice like mono or black and white aesthetic, which is nice. And then the white mecha mat, which is my preferred mecha mat. I don't know why I really like the white background ones, but I can tell you that if I use this regularly, I will spill something on it. It will happen.
Oh, I've already got shit all over my Bingsu mat. The striped one.
But yeah, so and then the granddaddy of them all, the Christmas gift, DualShot has finally arrived. I am stoked to get this open, and the reason the Bauer is still on the desk is because while we're streaming today, I'm going to cut this baby open. I'm going to take Hyperfuse Origins off, and I am going to put DualShot on this board because I think it's kind of a match made in heaven.
Yep. I think it's going to be sick looking. It's going to be like stealth mode.
Yeah.
Stealth mode activate. Yeah. I'm really happy that it, finally it came in with pretty standard timing. I think, obviously with GMK's delays, and coronavirus obviously delaying some, it probably pushed it back a couple months, like maybe a month or two, but still, I think from what I've seen in pictures, it's like really clean looking. So really excited to see it.
I'm getting it open here real quick. I'll show it off a little bit. I should have set up my overhead camera, but I didn't. But hey, you know what? Can't win them all.
It'd be like that sometimes.
So, you know what? Hey, the new way they package the caps, they're not everywhere. They are a little bit wonky, but they're not all over the place. But I don't want to tilt it too far because I don't want everything.
Ooh, that's clean.
Nice. Looks good. The second tray. Some caps are jumbled up here, but very, very nice set. I'm excited to see how this will look on the Bauer. But yeah, that's it for me. Chewy, what do you have?
So I didn't get any mail. Well, I did. Okay, I did, but I don't even know exactly. I gave it to my wife. I got I won some cool stuff from Keeb Noob stream. So I got we got some cool stickers and we got this little pin, and then I did get Lang sent me a couple the tan spacebar kits and tan caps. Because he got like a crap ton of the extra kit. And I didn't really want to. The only thing I've not been a fan of with the Infinity sets, which obviously I have not nice things to say about the quality control of the grain set, but is the extras kit. So if you want all those extras, you have to buy all of them, right? It's like basically buying a second base kit. So I will say it's not as bad, but this one does have a little bit of it rocks a little bit. Just to say, it's not as bad as the red one, but I'm okay with that. But on my desk, tried and true, you just can't go wrong with the Baka.
Ooh, there you go.
I love it so much. Got the Obsidian observer cap.
How was a little follow up on what you did last week? How was that FR4 plate?
It was good. Honestly, it was fine. I wasn't. I could tell that it was a bit of a softer feel, and I wasn't the biggest fan of it. But I mean, it worked. It worked perfectly. It's good for something different, but I think with that might be something, an FR4 plate might be something I need to do with a different board, because with the Bacom, like I know what I want it to feel like. I know what I want it to sound like. And so when I'm typing on that and I don't get this feel, because I recently, and this is something I would say suggest to other people as well, is I recently kind of did a retune on this. I took out, I wound up replacing the PCB. So it actually just as a little flare. If you saw the stream Saturday, I just added the LEDs to here. I can make it look cooler. So it's got it's a very faint but a nice blue.
Oh, is that the Zeal 60?
The Zeal 60. So just have that little option. I think, having that blue just kind of really push that theme. But something that I did with this is I re-lubed the 3 stabilizer switches, and then I took out the stabs, cleaned them out, re-lubed them again. And I think that's something, if you're using a board a lot, honestly, not that, this isn't to say that you can't do a great job and never have to worry about it again, but just like a little tune-up, right? It's 3 switches, 4 switches, if you're in between 3 and 6 switches that you would need to desolder and pop out real quick and just touch up on the lube a little bit, and then relube the stabs, which you might be able to do if you do that, but you might have to just desolder the whole board. But honestly, it's not the worst thing in the world. I'm not saying you have to go out and do it, but if you are able to desolder it, or you're able to at least touch up the stabs while they're in there and maybe relube some of the switches in there, it definitely made me like the board more than I already did. I already really liked it. So
yeah, I mean, that can be something that kind of gives it almost like a new build feel.
Yeah.
So
it cleans it up a little bit. It gives a little tune up. So, and then that, and what the other thing you can kind of do, especially if it's like your Grail board or whatever, is, desolder it, clean the plate. The plate is going to get dirty. Your switch, you might be, if you realize there's one switch that might just be acting a little funky, you can kind of swap it out some. It's just a tune-up. So what I might start doing is kind of like a tune-up stream, where I just take 2 or 3 boards and you just pop a couple of the switches out and just quick tune-up. So highly recommend doing that. But other than that, I'm still, like I said, I'm waiting on Ursa. Ursa's somewhere in the ocean right now, on its way to Kono. Godspeed is wherever Godspeed wants to be. And other than that, we've got some cool stuff. So quick shout out, if you want to take us back to normal, quick shout out to Genly Bean. Her desk mats are still on sale at Mac Keyboard. We're not sponsored or anything. This is just a cool person that we're friends with, that highly right, and they're just dope desk mats too. So if you want to go pick them up. Let me try and get a link real quick. And then something to look forward to. Mr. Langlandia is in chat. If you want to maybe come chill here in about a week and a half, October 24th, we are doing Clack Fancy. So Clack Fancy is going to be kind of a pseudo keyboard meetup, a little online keyboard meetup. There's going to be some discussions within the community. It's going to be it's just a fun place. There's going to be lots of Discord groups that you can go in and hang out, talk to other people, meet new people. It's one of those things, just hop in. You don't have to be on camera. You really don't even have to have a microphone. But hop in, say hello to some people. I'm probably going to do what I did last time, which is kind of the if you're a beginner, come ask the question, ask it in chat if you don't want to ask it in person, and I'll happily answer to the best of my abilities. I did that with IMEURU last time, and he is like the smartest person on the planet when it comes to keyboards. So, and then I know Osiris was helping run the kind of the main event of it, which is these awesome talks with community members. So,
yeah, it was a lot of fun last time. Like, we had some really good panels. We had a nice little 40s discussion, Artisan, and then the people from a couple of people from the Key Company. Jason and Mint Laudica came out, talked. It was a good time. It was a lot of fun. There was a lot of people that got involved in the Discord server, hanging out, talking to each other, a bunch of groups, some people playing different games. I'm sure there's going to be lobbies of Among Us going. I can imagine it's just going to be lots of fun, lots of stuff happening. So come hang out with us. It's going to be a grand old time. Yeah, it's not this upcoming weekend, but the weekend after, the 24th.
Yeah, absolutely. So we have not given we had to title it nice, but there's some drama. There's a little bit of drama. We're going to talk about the biggest drama drop probably the community has seen. I would say probably definitely top 5, if not top 3. I think the only thing that rivaled the Boxgate situation, the box switch stem problem situation, was the whole Stelios incident, which if you haven't heard Osiris's thoughts on the Stelios, it's a good one. We'll get to that in a little bit. But so some of these switches, you can't make this up. The banana split switches, according to a couple different users in the hobby, have been noticing that these stems are cracking keycaps. So we saw this in the server where it looks like some, I don't know, I can't tell if that's cat or DSA. It looks closer to cat.
Yeah, I think it's cat.
So these stems, whether or not, it could be a bad batch, it could be it's MDA. Okay. Apparently. So it could be a bad batch. It could be just slightly out of spec. They could have messed up the machining or the molds for these stems. Who knows, right? But these banana split switches that were sold by TKC, which is just, we'll get into recolors, but at the end of the day, it's just a fancy looking switch. That's a JWK linear with who knows what spring, because I've lost track of the recolors. But yeah, it split the cap, which we haven't seen really something like this happen since 2018. For those who don't remember, the box switches that Novel Keys sold were not in spec. They were in spec for another company that had ordered like 10 times more switches than our community could ever withstand at that time. Still more switch. It was a company that was selling mass-produced keyboards was ordering them, and they made them a different spec. And so GMK, you pop those caps in, and it was kind of a running joke where you'd hear this like when you put it on, you're like, oh, it's on now. And it's like, no, it was cracking your stem. It's cracking your stem all the way up. And, we talked to Novel Keys last year about, can you talk about the worst day in Novel Keys, which he was like in the airport when this kind of broke. And, Mechs on Deck wasn't even a thing yet. I kind of wish we were, because that would have been fun to cover. But, it's one of those things that happened, and it kind of killed the box market, the box switch market.
Yeah, it definitely did. And the box switch was kind of like a switch that was pushing the mold at the time. And like, if you think about it from a purely design aspect, the box switch itself is a much more robust and, higher quality switch. I was actually having a similar conversation, and we'll get more into that. But I was having a conversation with some people the other day about this. But the box switch is a little bit more robust than your standard Cherry MX. It's dust proof. It's slightly waterproof. It's a little bit better of a design in terms of protection for the switch and it lasting a long time. This is the first time in a while that we've seen this happen. This obviously this new banana split switches are splitting things, and I don't know it. I almost feel like it's worse with the banana split switches because at least with box switches, it was consistent across the entire range of switches, right?
Mhm.
It was not isolated to like certain batches or like certain things. So like this person is saying is some of the banana split switches have a 1.38 millimeter stem that's way over the 1.28 of the Cherry MX standard, which obviously zero point 0.1 millimeters, while small, is still big.
Yeah, that's huge for what you're working with.
Yeah, exactly. And the fact that it's just some of them, you get switches from a whole bunch of different batches. I would imagine that there's probably switches that are in between those tolerances as well. So you never really know. And you're not going to be able to sit there. I mean, if you're going to sit there and you're going to measure them, like, that's a lot of time. Like, come on.
Yeah, 1.32 was about I think it was 1.32 to 1.34 was like the tolerance that they did. And I mean, I lost my SA line. My max key SA line was ruined. Not complete. I put it on Halo Royal Trues, which I still love those switches. Like those were at the time probably some of my favorite switches. And I wound up selling the board, and I sold it to a guy locally, and I made sure he knew. You know, this is probably one of the few things I've taken a loss on in the hobby. It was a KBD 67. One of the switches was jacked up. This is before I knew how to bridge a PCB. But on top of that, these caps that were on it, I was like, if you want this board, you're gonna have to take this board, keycaps, and everything, because you're either going to shatter caps, have to desolder, and you're going to lose the caps. So I'm going to sell you the caps for like $40, but I'm going to pile that on top of the fact that you're buying this board. And I wound up selling the whole board for like almost next to nothing, really. A board, Royal Trues, KVD 67, and Max or any SA Lime. Right now, you could probably get close to $400, $500. I don't think I made more than $120 on that board.
Yeah. I mean, I remember, I think I was with you the night you sold it.
Yeah. Because I was just like, we were having a party and I was like, hey, I'll be right back. I'm just going to run up to the mall real quick in the parking lot. And he handed me $120 and I got my board and I was like, all right. So, it ruined sets. It definitely cracked a few of my Honeywell keycaps. From back in the day. And what was a real shame is the box Royals were like the next best thing. And then they came out with the box Novellias, which were, in my opinion, even better because there was a heavier spring. And they were really, really solid switches. And it was really cool because this was like the first time we really saw like, hey, here's a recolored switch, right? If we're going to talk about recolored switches here in a moment. But this was the first time we kind of saw something like that where it's like, oh, these switches, these kind of one-time offerings, which I wound up buying a lot because I was like, oh, I want to hold on. I still have a bunch. But they had to remake all of those. So on top of that, Novel Keys had to take another loss because that happened right before they switched. And then the biggest question was, are the Novellias going to be, ruining my GMK Olivia set? And luckily they switched it. But after that, Royals were kind of a thing of the past, and the box switches and people, because then they said they fixed it and then people were still skeptical. And I was like, I don't know if they were, I don't think personally that they were ruining caps. But it was a weird time in the hobby. And then the Holy Pandas dropped and everyone stopped caring. And then literally ZLV2s came out and Holy Pandas came out like 4 months later. So there was this 4-month period where no one really knew what to do because the only switch that was pushing the label was dead.
Yeah.
And Holy Pandas were like $6 a switch. So from Boxgate, which happened in the middle of the summer of 2018, until like October, November, there was just nothing.
Yeah, there wasn't really a whole lot going on. And I mean, because that was when, Zeal V1s were still a thing, Xylants. Helios, I think, had just started. I think.
Maybe. I don't know.
But it wasn't a very exciting time for Switches. I think, Boxgate, even after they fixed them, people were constantly saying that they still were breaking switches or breaking keycaps, which is not true. But hey, you know what? Can't always win with people, but hey, the switches are good now. But it begs the question, I feel like, and this was kind of where we started with this, right? This was kind of like one of the thoughts that I had is, where would the box switches be at now if Boxgate didn't happen? Like, where would they be now? Because they're still great switches and they're just underappreciated by a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
They were getting a lot of attention by the community. A lot of people were very excited about them before Boxgate. As you mentioned, the Royals, Bellias were doing a lot and they were very popular. Box Navies and Jades were just like Alpacas and all of the JWK switches are right now, where you could not get them.
Yeah,
they were
you
up,
had to.
Yeah, they were just up online in the morning and they were gone in 5 minutes. Like, they were not available. And this was in the hobby. I mean, this was the same time when GMK Olivia sold like 350 base kits.
Yeah. Yeah, it's ridiculous. I think so. There's two kind of questions here that I think you could ask. So where would they be? I think the tactility of box switches would have continued to push as the world continued to go after, because we're in 2018, right? The Holy Panda is the Switch, and everyone's trying to beat the Holy Panda. And guess what? It's 2020, and we haven't passed that yet. But I think box switches continue to try and up their tactility. I think that you'd probably see a lot, but I don't. There's not. I mean, where do you go with clickies, right? I feel like clickies kind of peaked. You can make them heavier. You can make them lighter. We had the box pinks come out, and a lot of people I know enjoyed those. So, you kind of it's kind of like at that point you're just what spring combination, maybe a lighter click bar, maybe this versus that. There's only so much you can do, but he stopped caring about that because he didn't need to worry about that. Around the time, the 4 months later, when the Zeal V2s hit and the Holy Pandas started hitting again, he started selling cream switches. He announced cream switches, and that's when he was like, hey, these switches I think are really great, and here's the pre-order. And I got in on that pre-order because I was very interested in the palm on palm feel. But it also kind of begs the question of, like, even if Boxgate happened, I think all roads were going to lead to the Holy Panda outbreak of 2018.
See, I think that still happens, but I think you have, because it's not like the box switch was really trying to compete with the Holy Panda. I mean, like the Box Royal and the Heiko were tactile switches, but their big thing was, and still is, the click bar, right? And I think that you could have done a lot more creative things in order to get, different feels, different sounds out of that design. Mm-hmm. And it would have been cool to see that mold be pushed. And even if the Holy Panda craze happens, imagine a Holy Panda equivalent in a box switch.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
so I beg, it's funny, the more I think about it, the more I'm like, I honestly think box switches were kind of doomed to fail. Let's take away the fact that Holy Pandas come out. All right. Zeals still are going to come out.
Yeah.
Holy Pandas are going to jump up to $12, and eventually someone's going to come out with a Switch. I mean, the Zeal V2 was great. Eventually, someone's going to come out with a Switch that rivals the Holy Panda in both tactility and sound, because the Zeal V2s, well, they definitely rivaled, if not passed, the Holy Pandas in tactility. They were unable to make the sound as good, but I think lube plays a huge part in this, because lube switches, while they were a thing, because box switches were so intense, the hobby wasn't. No one really cared too much about lubing, especially when it comes to tactile switches, because at the time, most people didn't lube their Zelios. I didn't lube my Zelios because they were like, oh, they're already really, really smooth and they're very tactile. And even Zeal V1s, you didn't want to lube them too much because then you might lose some tactility. Zeal V2s, you might have been able to. There was definitely a small amount of people that were lubing them, but box switches are really hard to lube, and it takes a lot of lube to do it, and it takes a lot of lube to do it right. And so I think as the community grew, and as these people, such as Top Clack, and especially the rise of Nathan Kim, going, you got to lube your switches. Which I'm not going to say you have to lube your switches, but I typically don't type on boards that have not had lubed switches, mainly because with the silk switches do kind of ruffle that feather of an idea, but it's kind of the, like, once you type on lubed switches, you're like, fuck, I need that. Like there is that much of an improvement. And I think while box switches, I think, continue to reign superior well into 2019, I think they start to die off when you start running into switches like creams and inks. The T1 probably still is going to come out at some point. And all these JWK switches might come out at some point. So I think they eventually run out of gas, and you would still have this small group of people that are like, fuck yeah, these are awesome. But, and sorry, this is very long-winded, but, look at like vintage blacks, right? Nothing happened with vintage blacks, but no one really cares about them anymore because these switches have gotten better, that people are kind of like, it's not worth trying to find.
Yeah, no, I see that, but I feel like if the box switches are the norm, which they definitely were at the time, I think people get used to lubing them. People get more into that process of those box switches. And there's also a narrative where maybe we don't even go down that path, right? Yeah. Maybe the cream doesn't exist as a MX compatible switch. Maybe the cream is a box switch, right? Yeah. Like, we very equally could have gone down a completely different path where, I mean, lubing, I think, still it becomes more prevalent in the hobby, but maybe it's just, okay, well, yeah, you can lube your regular MX switch, but just like you always could, but we're going to lube, this is how you lube box switches, right? Like, then people are making content around that, and it becomes a thing. I think you could just very equally could have had that entire narrative be shifted towards box switches. And I think the big thing that separates the box switch versus like the MX Black comparison is that the reason why MX Blacks fall off is because they're not worth it anymore. Right? Like, their value and their worth, I mean, I think saying value and MX Blacks is probably not a good thing together, but you get what I'm saying, of like, that they're not worth it anymore because you can get just as good, if not better, of a feel from a JWK switch or a Telio V2 or even a heavily used cream.
Yeah.
Right. So it's like, it's not worth it to go on the hunt for these crazy old, MX Blacks that have been used for 20 years. And then you're going to pay, upwards of $4 a switch to get them from some vendor, unless you want to harvest them yourself.
Yeah.
Whereas box switches, every time they come out with a new release, it's just a re-up, right? Like the same way we're seeing with JWK recolors is like every time they release a new Switch, whether or not it's actually a new Switch, it's just a different color. The hype resets, right? It gets
yeah.
And so I think
like, sweet, let's do it again.
Yeah,
let's buy these.
I think
did want to get those
green
happen. Ones from TX60. Those were sick.
They're
like swamp colored ones. I thought about getting some of those just because I thought those looked cool.
Also, I finished putting the caps on the Bauer, so I'm gonna show it off real quick. It looks great.
It looks great. I'll show myself out.
Wow. But yeah.
That's schmexy.
It looks really good.
I like it.
I need to clean off the top of my Bauer, but got some yeah. There you go.
I like it.
Chat.
I like it because it's got that like 90s just kind of gray everything, but then there's just that tiny little pop of color.
Well, and that's why I feel like DualShot is meant to be on like a gray board.
Mm-hmm.
Like I actually would imagine Mao White would also look really good, but I think Mao White's not quite gray enough to get that same aesthetic. I think the darker gray, like the darker gray, kind of gets that nice PlayStation aesthetic. Because if I remember the PS1, I think the controller was darker than the console. That makes sense.
Yeah, I think so because they're different. They were different plastics.
Yeah.
So, no, it looks Merry Christmas and fucking October.
Hey,
you know, Christmas is coming up again,
right around the corner.
So I think, but I think, yeah, it works well, but I also like that it's slightly different enough, right? I love that. I've always loved that, you know, I've talked about it with the Baka. The blues are different enough that each color can stand out separate from each other. Whereas, you know, if it was like almost 1-to-1, I don't think it would look as good. Like I know it was just a render, but like so on the SA DualShot, there was like the picture of the Bauer 75 where it was like a 1-to-1 match. And I was like, it just looks a little goofy. It might work with the accent keys because on the SA DualShot, he's doing these accent keys that add a little bit more color. And I'm like, I think it might work with that. But if you're going for that stealthy kind of monotone look, I think when it's too perfect, it kind of like it looks a little awkward as a mono kit. You know, if you can add in some extras, kind of like how like Hyperfuse on your Mao White looks fantastic, but you have that gray that cuts through and the teal that cuts through that helps kind of add some contrast to it.
So the OG PS1 controller and console were the same color. Yeah, I think I'm thinking of the PlayStation 2 because it had that like really dark gray DualShock controller.
Yeah. So, but back to this. So I think back to the box switches. So one thing I think with the box switches, if we're talking about trajectory, let's say, you know, box switches survive a lot of these. I don't think box switches ever compete with linears. I think when you moving forward, I think you know, this in hypotheticals, I think Mike continues to offer box pale yellows or whatever they were called, and continues to offer box pale reds or box reds and box blacks. I don't think he ever really tries harder than that, because I don't think, while tactiles might stand can stand up to box tactiles, can stand up to other tactiles, and box clickies, you're at the top. I don't think the linears ever really have a good chance because there's too much contact, in my opinion. And so I think what you wind up having is you have this split where it's like, if you want a really good tactile switch or an amazing clicky switch, you go over to box switches. But if you want linear, you go. I thank you very much for the 5 gifted subs.
Thanks, dude.
Really appreciate it. But I think when linears wind up taking control. I think once Gateron Inks come out, let's say creams never exist. I think Gateron Inks come out, and then the JWK start coming out, and people start realizing box linears just don't stack up to these switches.
And I think that this is also one of those things that. So I think I see what you're saying, but I think that's where the innovation that was happening with box switches and the like, you can try new things. Like you look at what we have done recently with different, just the same switch but with different materials, with like the tangerines and the kiwis, right? They use a different material in the housing than all the other JWK switches. And you still have, you've got these other switches that are using the Oompa Loompa stems. And then you've got creams that are all palm. I think if you start playing with different materials to compose those box switches, I think you can, while there is more contact, you can create a smoothness that was unparalleled at the time. And I think you can also, because the thing about box switches is that they have zero wobble, or not zero, but very, very little wobble, which is
much less.
Yeah, which is one of the downsides of a lot of like look at the round one of Oompa Loompa stems, right? Like people kind of realized that they really only they feel great because there's no contact, right?
Yeah,
like it's not actually doing anything, but they're wobbly as hell. So I think you have a trade-off, right? Like there's going to be people who are all about it, and there's going to be people who are not for it and are wanting the GAT inks, wanting those JWK switches. And I think it's one of those things. I think that they would have, because the narrative of box switches was to be more bold and daring, and that was kind of like all switches at the time, especially Mike. Like that was a time where he was releasing a lot of variants of Kale switches. It just sucks that it feels like Boxgate kind of put a damper on that.
Mm-hmm.
And it would have been cool to see that additional work come about, and see if what else they could have done with that switch.
Yeah. And that's all we can do is speculate. It would have been cool, but I think, the way the hobby went, it's like we went forward by going backwards, which, I mean, at the end of the day, that's what we're doing, right? Mechanical keyboards, we're going forward by looking backwards. But, I still think I still think Holy Pandas shut a lot of this out because one, money, right? Because it's like, oh, now I can buy this $8 Switch. I'm like, no, it's not worth $6 a Switch. It's not worth $2 a Switch. These Holy Pandas are solid Switches, and I still think that runs the hobby for a little bit. I think they, if let's say box switches continue to innovate, I think box switches take a huge dip for like 6 months. Though at the beginning of 2019, when Holy Pandas are all the craze, I think, because it kind of depends. Is Mike going to sell Yock switches? Does he sell Yock switches in that case? Because that was one thing that I really think helped him recover, was creams and Yocks really put Mike, not that he ever really left, but it kind of threw him back into the like, oh, sweet, he's got these Yock switches and these different colored Yock switches that are kind of doing all this awesome stuff. But I do think the box switches take a dip, and I think it's kind of like, now that I've got my hands on Holy Pandas and they're easier to get my hands on, and now I can kind of work with these, let's see what I can do to box switches now. So it's like you don't have that crazy amount of innovation without something else coming in.
Yeah, the natural
going beat me. Because it's kind of the best way to get better is to basically get beaten and then go, how do I beat you even more?
It's the natural switch rotation that we've seen, right, in the hobby, right? So in 2017, early 2018, Zeal V1s were still doing like their rounds, and they were like the switch that was amazing, right? All the Zeal switches.
Mhm.
And then box switches with clickies came in and were fucking up everyone in that like late spring, early summer. Even maybe a little bit before that. I don't remember exactly when they released the navies and the jades, but they were demolishing everything around
Yeah.
that time.
The box navy was the switch.
Yeah.
That was the holy panda.
And then it would make sense for it to shift, right? It shifts to tactiles. You got your Zeal V2s, you got your Holy Panda craze, right? The Holy Panda went nuts, and then they did the Jesus switches, and then it just kind of exploded from there. And I think that you would, I think you would see a shift back. Like maybe it doesn't go to creams and inks. Maybe it goes back to a box switch that's new, or maybe it does go to creams and inks, and then it doesn't go to JWK.
Yeah,
it goes to a box switch because
or
we've been riding JWK for like a year at this point.
Yeah, and you kind of run into the like, in my opinion, you run into the if I think I still think inks come out and kind of blow the door wide open for linear switches, because that was something that was pretty inexpensive, and out of the box, inks are a fantastic linear switch. They're super duper smooth, and they weren't the price of Telios.
Mm-hmm.
And that was kind of the big thing, that the inks were there to replace Telios and make a super smooth switch at almost half the cost. And so, you still have to, and I still do my inks. I still really enjoy. There's inks on the board that's literally the JL1. It's great. I don't like the spring weight, but super duper smooth. But I think that's where, we outside of, blueberries were a lot of hit or miss with people. I really enjoyed the blueberries. But are they my favorite tactile? No, but I think that, where box switches could have struck was Holy Pandas had been out, and it was just the everything, and then it was like the T1, and then like right when the whole Stelio thing, I think like that's where box switches slide in and go, hey, Holy Pandas are here to stay. Here's something different. Here's like the Box Royal 2.0.
Yeah.
And
or you go like a new clicky,
Majestic, or the new clicky or something. Because something, and I wonder if it'll ever come out. Those Zeal clickies that were supposed to come out, the like Alps Leafs style that just don't exist anymore. Like that was something I was super hyped for. And if who knows if we'll ever see the light of day on those. I'm still very hyped for those. I really hope that they show up, but I am not holding my breath on that. But yeah, I mean, we're kind of all looking, because it's like a linear is a linear is a linear. You either make it really smooth or you make it sound amazing. And I feel like we've already kind of done that, right? We've already made super smooth switches. We've already made solid sounding linears. Tactile is where we need that kind of push in a certain direction.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, like, clickies have been stagnant for like over 2 years, right? Because it was click jacket before box switches with the click bar, and then we got the click bar, and then Boxgate happens and nothing does. Like, we haven't seen like a new version of a clicky switch since then. We've seen teasers with those Zeal switches you just talked about, but there hasn't been an update on those in like 6 months, 7 months actually. I think it was March when they talked about them. And so it just sucks that an entire like third of the switch types is just non-existent, is just completely complacent.
Well, like box pinks came out and people were just kind of like, neat.
Yeah.
Like, cool.
Because, and I think part of that is because of box being
having the
attached
bad rap
to it. Right. And then the Sherberts, and people were like, I don't care. Because it was like, it's one of those things, it's kind of like timing, right? Like, people, like, I think now is the time for a new clicky switch to be dropped because we've had recolors on top of recolor. JWK is like the only thing that exists, it feels like. The Yock switches are gone, kind of, from novel keys. They're gone on a regularly available. Well, they're gone on a regularly available basis. People are trying to do like group buys for them and stuff, but we don't know how that's going to be. You know, there's the panda, the glorious panda thing just happened. You know, the drop pandas are kind of in the shitter because they said one thing, then they came out and said something different, and then now they're saying that, oh, it was a typo. So, like, that's all. Like, it's a great time for a new like switch, like something refreshing, something new, to come out. And I think if hey Mike, if you've got something lined up, just go ahead and release it.
Just in time for the holidays. I think one other thing to mention that is worth noting, it's the sound, right? So a lot of people like that clicky sound, but what's the number one typing test that everyone goes to? It's the Holy Panda Fiel with Nathan Kim. It's that deep, thocky sound that is associated with, if you want this like thocky, deep sounding keyboard, not this clicky, annoying, insane board, this is how you go for it. And I think that another issue with these clickies that started running out is, while, you know, what if Boxgate doesn't happen, do the prominent members in the community, do they still like them? Because whatever, at the end of the day, whatever the top 10 people like in the hobby that are on stream going, these are my favorite switches, these are my favorite switches, that's going to be the top. So if you don't have people saying clickies, then it's not going to be as much. So when people start coming out going, oh, my favorite is these 3 switches, you know, it took Nathan Kim to say creams are best for gaming, and creams were impossible to find for 3 months.
Yeah. I mean,
and so that's another thing where it's like it's hard. It's like box switches weren't made for the growth that the hobby went into. And when the hobby exploded, it's like the hobby exploded and there was this much of the hobby. And then when it exploded, it's like the amount, this much was taken from that and ran off. And it was like, this is the hobby. This is what we like. We don't care about everything else. And this is how we're going to sell it to 3 times the amount, or 3 to 5 times the amount of people that we have now. And that it just became, you know, huge. It's like, well, these people like it. So I think that's one thing that I think the box switches could have struggled against if the more prominent members in the community didn't like them. Then you start struggling.
Yeah, but I think there's a lot of people that do, right? Like Upas still loves box switches. I know. So the initial conversation I had about this topic was with Quakeums from Top Glack, and he was like, he said the same thing of like, it would be cool to see where they would be. Like they were innovating a lot at the time, and they were making great switches. Just Boxgate kind of was like, hey, fuck you. So
it really sucks. But anyway, so back to what we're saying earlier. Banana split. Hopefully TKC gets this under control. I don't think this is a TKC thing. If it is, then shame on you, TKC. But I don't think this is a TKC thing. I do, this is one of those things that like you get mad, but you can't go to TKC and go, you owe me money.
It's like, where do I get mad?
Yeah, it's like you have all this pent up anger and you have nowhere to point it at, because it's like, other than I guess the factory, but if it's the factory messes up, it's like kind of taking that risk. Now it kind of makes me think I want to grab all my pause break keycaps, just go through and go, oh, that didn't crack. All right, that switch is good. But it stinks. It stinks that this happened. We don't want to see this happen. It was, when I saw it, I was like, ooh, once, I think I've said this before, but it's like, ooh, the the content creator of me loves that this happens. The hobbyist fucking hates that this happens.
Yeah.
So it's tough. It's tough. In my opinion, kind of rip the banana split, move on to another one of the 15 JWK colors that are going to get those Tycho colors.
Yeah. Which I think is like the exact same Switch.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure it's.
John?
Zap. Nice.
Thanks, bud. Appreciate it. But yeah, it just sucks because like this is one of the first times that like the TKC Switches has been. Count it. Thanks for the extra 69 bits. This is one of the first times they've had those Switches in stock for a while, right? Like it seems like they took a big gamble on getting a ton of these Switches. So it just kind of sucks that this has happened because every time that they've done like kiwis or tangerines, they're gone like immediately. So I don't know. It just sucks. Hopefully they figure it out. Hopefully they can get the people who have messed up Switches replacements. I don't know if they would trust them. I probably wouldn't, honestly. At least until they like come out and they're like, "Hey, this is fixed."
Yeah.
But
tight spot. Rocking a hard place for sure. So we were talking about this in Discord. We'll touch on this some. Are the recolors getting out of hand? Do you care? And a few further thoughts and opinions.
So I think I don't really care about the recolors because I know, and you said this in the Discord, I don't care what my Switches look like, right? Like I never see them. The thing that bothers me the most about it is the people who are like, dude, the H1 is so much better than the alpaca, and the mauve is the worst of them all. And I'm like, they are the same Switch. They just have different springs. I like that they are doing like JWK is also doing things like kiwis, tangerines, and the banana split where they are changing the housing or the stem. But I mean, I don't know. It's just one of those things. Do we need every set to have Switches that match it? Right? No. It kind of started with Novelia's. It kind of
yeah, it really did. It went back to let's do something cool, and Novelia's did it, and then really no. After that, I can't really. I think laser switches. Those were some of the first big like. That was kind of what started the 2.0 version because you have Nolivs, of course. Nolivs came out.
Linear. Well, Linears weren't based off of a. Also, Linear is different. It has a different plastic in the housing.
Yeah. But I personally don't think that every single key set, if you want to run it, go for it. But in my opinion, if you're a keycap designer and you really feel strongly about it, go for it. But like, don't put yourself under extra stress for something that's probably not going to be seen. Yeah. Like, it's kind of, don't buy super fancy designer undershirts. Like, just if you're wearing an undershirt, it doesn't need to be fancy because no one's going to see it. I mean, I guess maybe one or two people might see it, and so maybe you're just trying to impress them. Then go for it,
dude. But the Instagrams and Reddits.
Oh, you got to. I'm going to judge your undershirt, all right, bud. But I don't really care. The one thing that bothers me is I don't know. I have to always look up like what spring it is because I'm like, I mean, none of them are going to be good enough or heavy enough for what I want. So I'm like, whatever. But I can see that being an issue.
H1 78 gram. That's
78,
close.
which is close. That's the closest. And I was okay with that, but I can handle 78 and not be like actually upset by it. But 89 is where that sweet spot. Give me those 100 grams, JWK. Let's see them. That's the only thing that would bother me is I'm like, oh, I don't know what spring it is just based off of the color. So, but granted, I'm the use case that it doesn't matter. I know Lang and I have talked about this before because it's like neither of us use stock springs on almost any of our switches because usually it's like get these things out and put in something from Novel Key, one of the Novel Key springs.
Yeah. Well, it's one of those things that it's like the fact that they're doing all these recolors, it's making it to where people are able to buy these switches because they always sell out, right? Like I'm okay with it because they're always available because there's always a new group guy going up for some random color switch. So it's like, cool. And you may end up having a board that is looking like a bag of M&Ms because you got 4 different color switches going on because you're only able to get like 20 of each. But
that'd be dope.
Yeah, you could make it look cool. Someone needs to do that. Someone needs to figure it out.
Collecting the one.
GMK Midnight Rainbow is going to ship at some point here soon. Someone needs to get the rainbow of JWK recolor switches.
That'd be cool. I know one person who's sitting right next to me would love that. Although she's not really a linear person, but maybe if we make some tactile boys.
You could just get like if you just get the housings from a whole bunch of different switches and then use like the T1 stem.
See, I want to hander by it. JWK boy, that would be cool. So, but all in all, you know, if you're mad about recolors, then all I can say is don't be like, don't let like if they're not for you, they're not for you. You know, and if you don't like linears, then they were never for you to begin with. And if you do like linears, but you were looking for alpacas, who cares? It doesn't. Yeah. You're not going to see them. But if you care a lot, maybe pick up some of these JWKs and then trade them for someone who doesn't care what their switches look like, but they do have alpacas. You know, that's perfectly reasonable. So,
I mean, yeah, if it doesn't work, it's just going to be like the freaking colored stabs that we had for like Olivia Plus Plus. There's like 2 or 3 months where Novel Keys did it and they matched the sets. And then here we are 6 months later and they don't do them anymore. So like if it doesn't work, then it's not going to work. But stop telling people they're different because they're not.
Gnarly Charlie, for you, come on. This is the keyboard hobby, all right? Opinions are wrong.
True.
And I can't let someone be happy. V2 Durox, don't know, haven't tried them. Haven't even heard about them. That'd be cool. All I want is C3 and Duroc to be like, let's make a good stab because I'm pretty not happy with my Durocs right now. They're smooth, but I keep having wire issues. And luckily, I have figured out how to fix it on multiple occasions. But 1, I shouldn't have to fix it, and 2, if you're trying to get someone else in the hobby and you build them the board, you ship them the board, and then the wire pops out in shipping and they don't know how to do it. It's like, great, now they can barely use their space bar. So pretty annoyed with that right now, but whatever.
Yeah.
Duroc V2 on the way. I'll probably pick some up. If I like them, then your boy's going to be desoldering a shit ton of keyboards.
Dude, I'm honestly thinking about desoldering my iron because the Duroc is just... So my problem with Duroc V1 stabilizers is the fact that the housings and the insert... The insert is too small for the housing. So on like a super tactile switch, it's just like... It doesn't know what to do. It's just like there's no way to get... Like there's always going to be a little bit of rattle. And if there's not... You are on a freaking... you are on a short leash. And that time where they're not going to be like having any kind of issues or rattle that's not going to last very long. Also, Gnarly Charlie, for you, I got a haircut. And I might be a little bit tan. I've been spending a little bit of time outside.
Clip is oriented differently. Yeah. I haven't had too many issues with the one that has bothered me is the key cold. The good thing about stabs, right, because you and I are running into the same issue with Zycos. Is you don't want to have to take apart the build, but the good part about stabs is you don't have to remove the switches from the plate, which saves a lot of hassle from having to do a desolder a Zyco board, because you can just pop it out, clean up the holes to make sure everything's clean again, redo the stabs, put it right back in, solder it up, and you're good to go. So yeah, I'm excited to see these V2 Durocs. Hope they're good. Yeah, like I said, if they are good, then it's time to get out the desoldering gun.
Yeah, which we
Plus,
have now.
And we talked about that. Tune up. Now you can tune up your switches.
I mean, I just got a whole bunch of like old GMK stabs, so I might just like not even try the V2s and just use GMK, because GMK stabs, the old ones still feel just so good.
Mm.
I want to change at least just the spacebar, if nothing else, on my iron.
I've never had, I don't have any issues with the 2Us. It's always the 7
spacebar, yeah.
Yeah, the 2Us, I've never had wire prop issues. I've never had rattling issues. It's nothing like that. It's just the spacebar. So anyway, what time is it?
It is about time.
About that time. I do love Gnarly Charlie for you. Those are my Ultra Boosts, that old broken in pair.
All right. Well, this picture is like mega zoomed in. It is about that time, and let's cue to Lang. Oh, I have it muted.
You by Mechs on deck. Welcome to Keyboard of the Week, brought to you by Mechs
Keep
on
them
deck.
They look sick. I hopefully that will keep the wire in place.
But if you didn't hear Lang,
yeah, sorry. It's Keyboard of the Week. So, Keyboard of the Week. Post your pictures. Go to our Discord. Hit X. We'll get that exclamation. Get that link in there. So hit up our Discord. Go over to Keyboard Pictures, the channel, and start posting your pictures. We're going to judge them, whether or not how harsh it is, and let you know how we feel about it. But yeah, we're going, post those pictures, and we've got some plans coming up of what we're going to do with the winners. If you are a winner, what do you get, Mr. Osiris?
You get your picture as the banner at the top of the Discord. You get a special role called Keyboarder of the Week, which you appear in a very luscious and beautiful pink color, right under our mods. So very, very high above our sponsors. So that's a very important role. And you get your picture added to the slideshow that is part of our starting soon screen and in the background of all of our content. You can kind of see it going there behind us right now. Holy crap, I just unloaded.
And starting to this week, and we'll probably do a week or two where I'm going to go through and get all the boards. But starting tomorrow, I'm going to post the picture on our Instagram. So go get some love on Instagram. If you win, we'll probably send you a PM and see if you have that Instagram tag, so we can make sure to tag you, as we don't want to leave anyone out.
Or have you just like not want us to post it?
yeah, or maybe you don't want us to post it for whatever reason. So maybe we can put that in there, that by posting this, you are submitting it to the fact that we may be posting it on our Instagram.
Yeah. If we're PMing them for their handle, you can just say, "Hey, are you okay with this?"
Say, please don't. So, but other than that, and we have some fun plans coming in at the end of the year, with these pictures and these boards. So I'm really excited. So let's get into it. We have one from just about an hour ago.
Yeah. So this first one up is the one that we've got on screen. This is from Static Age. This is some RGB goodness. He says, clear PLA keyboard bell 1984 3D printed case with a brass plate, instant 60 PCB, Key-Reative Spock keycaps with Galaxy key blue laser spacebar. He's got a couple artisans on there as well. Got 62 gram Tangies lubed with 205 grade 0 and Kibio films. This looks good, and I'm going to show the additional picture here of the RGB-ness so you can see the goodness. I like it.
I like the theme. You stuck with the space theme, the Star Trek theme. I'm going to assume the sub-legends are like Vulcan letters. I don't know. I was never I like the movies. I never really watched the shows. So especially not enough to understand or recognize that as a written language. But yeah, very solid. I love how much these keyboard bell cases, if you can get your hands on one, they're solid.
Yeah. I mean, we've talked about it over and over again in this segment. The rise of the 3D printed case. It's here. The 3D printed and the stacked acrylic. It's budget, they're solid, and you can do a lot with them. So
ooh. She's going to start printing again soon. Very nice. Keep your eye out on that keyboard bell. Next up, we got a smoky NK65. Love that smoky color with GMK Olivier, with GMK white on black, GMK pretty in pink, and GMK black on white hangul. So I like that. Getting creative. We're mixing and matching. So very, very nice. Love the black, the black and pink. Don't want to say those two words close together for copyright issues, but the pink and black aesthetic, and that smoky gray is sick. That smoky gray. If this was not a 65%, I'd be all over that smoky gray 65 or 60%.
Yeah, this looks really good. You know, we talked about it earlier this year. Like I think like at the beginning of the year of how like with key sets there's so many and them being somewhat stale for some people, like using different kits together to create something new is a fun way to do it. Like we saw a lot of these child kit sets run last year and get shipped out earlier this year, like the Hangul as well as Pretty in Pink. This looks great. This looks really cool. It's very unique and it looks good. Also, like Chewy said, smoky gray looks awesome. So,
oof.
Which picture do I go?
I'm saying the second one.
Second one?
I think the second one's the best one.
I was going to say the first one, like second. We'll go second one.
We'll do second one for the main picture, but we can show them all off. So this is the Chimera Angelic Edition built by Lang. Lang, if you're in chat, go ahead and throw that build vlog or not vlog VOD in the chat. So yeah, I wish I could see one of these in person, because while I don't care for the board that much, it looks amazing.
Yeah, this thing looks insane. Like the little bit of the weight on the back, just with the Canon logo, this just looks so incredible. Like, and I love the exploded arrows in the cluster. Like it just, man, this looks so good.
Everything about the set's fantastic. The board's fantastic. It sounded really good. I remember kind of catching the end there. So just unbelievable board.
Olivia looks weird on that board. But this is the back. This also has a very, very pretty weight design as well. So this is like this almost looks like you have to be like a duke or like a knight to own this board.
I mean, it is in fact heavenly.
Yeah, dude, it's angelic.
So next up, we've got a white Fiel GMK dots, Zycos underneath with some cool artisans. Got the ortho layout, and lots of artisans saying just saying hello with a pretty cool desk mat.
Yeah, I mean, this board looks very familiar. Looks good.
Yeah, very familiar. For those who don't know, I sold this board to. This is my Fiel that I had quite a long time ago now. I mean, I love it. I know it'd be weird if I didn't love it, but I do take a lot of pride in this board because I feel like I helped make it a little bit. So, and I love hearing whenever I'm in chat with her. Whenever I'm in chat with her, I love hearing her type because it's just like.
Yeah, I mean, this looks great. Like, I think Dots was just made for like the ortho board, like the ortho style. Like, it just looks so good. But yeah, this looks good. The artisans bring it together, and that desk mat's great, which you can still go pick up. Also, Absolute, thank you for the tier 1. Appreciate it, my dude. Or dudette. Who knows?
And next up and current last, like I said, guys, if you want to post your boards, throw them in here. The TX EO87, which I've been wanting to kind of get my hands on one of these, just because I think that they are very unique for a solid keyboard company releasing a lower priced product. Yeah, there it is. So Gaddy milk tops, 98-gram springs with Oompa Loompa stems, wearing a just garbage keycap set. So, but no, this is I love the way this board looks with champagne. Makes me want to go get a TX84 in champagne and put cafe on it.
Yeah, I mean, this looks great. I think the translucent EO87 looks really cool, or like crystal. I can't remember what they called it exactly. But we talked about these boards when they initially went into group buy, either early this year or last year. Can't remember exactly.
I think it was earlier this year, if I remember correctly.
They were really cheap. Like, they were really inexpensive to purchase. And this thing looks awesome. They also had this transparent one, and they had a more what's the word? Like smoky, not really smoky, but it was
not crystal clear.
Yeah. Iwan, yes. We would love to.
Yes, I would. Yes, please. Just hit us up.
Yeah. But yeah, no, this looks great, and the champagne looks amazing, as you said, and it matches cafe really well. And it goes back to what we said before about the color of the board not matching the accent perfectly adds to it. I think like it's just nice. It's nice different in between
enough. So, I was thinking about. I was like, because I have cafe on my OSA right now, and I was like, I kind of want to get my cafe in like a bronze color, like my OSA Cerakoted in like a bronze, because I think if the bronze is bright enough to be lighter than the dark brown of cafe, then I think it would match it really, really well. So, next up we've got Elvision. Don't have any recent boards, but a board from Lang. It's a minivan with DSA trash and Novelia switches. It's unique.
This is very unique. Novelia's part of the topic tonight.
There you go. It is on topic. That's good. And you know, this is Cyrus and I've talked about this a lot. We both really want a 40s board just to have one.
Yeah.
Just one. Just fun. Just something fun to kick around, right? Don't kick your keyboards, people. But
you know what's great about this picture is that the Wazowski is peeking out at the bottom.
Peeking out. Just that Wazowski flex. She's just like keyboard of the week.
And I love it. The Langlandia signature on the back. Classic.
I dig it. So I think I get to choose first. I'm pretty sure I'm gonna pick the loser because like while I want to just pick one, I have to pick the Fiel with GMK dots and Zycos. I can't not pick that board. I don't think that's a fantastic board and an even better picture, but I just don't think it's going to stand a chance against the Chimera and the Angelic Chimera. But that is going to be my vote, the Fiel with GMK dots.
Yeah, I'm picking the Chimera. So
yeah.
I
will get that set up.
Yeah, while he's doing that, I do want to give a quick shout out to our sponsors to help us make the show run every week. First up, we've got switchmod.net. Head on over to switchmod.net/Mechs on deck. Pick up some lube, some springs. He's got a whole bunch of stuff over there. If you're looking for lube, he does it in different like 50 unit amounts each day. So you want to stay tuned to that website. You get 4% off anything that's in stock. And we do get a little bit of kickback from that. Dixie Mech, you can head on over to mechsondeck.dixiemech.com. Don't remember exactly which set he just starting this month.
It's red alert. Not red alert. It hasn't started yet, I don't think. I think it starts tomorrow.
Let me check it out. I know he just finished up SA Dual Shot. That actually just finished 2 days ago. Mm-hmm. Yeah, he hasn't started anything else.
Redline.
Yeah. Okay,
Redline
so
starts the 16th.
Yeah, Redline starts the 16th, so be on the lookout for that. Pick that up when it goes live. And then Project Keyboard, mechsondeck.project.link. Oh, hey, speak of the devil. GMK Noir is running this month, designed by a good friend of the channel, Miss Apiary Keyboards. So head on over there, pick it up. She's got some cool Salvin caps that go along with it. Canon Keys, head on over to mechsondeck.canonkeys.com/mechsondeck. Check out what they've got running. They're doing a bunch of cool stuff over there as well.
Absolutely. And then we also cannot do this without our partners, Zap Cables, who makes amazing cables, the best cables. TypeBeast, recently released issue number 8 of his newsletter. Go check him out, as well as Smith and Rune. Go to smithrune.com. Check out the Iron 180. It is coming relatively soon. And go buy some merch. It's getting real close to the sweatpants weather. Real close. I'm wearing my jacket. I like my arms being warm. Sweatpants are a little bit different story. They said they were joggers, definitely more sweatpants, but getting close to flexing that Smith rune constantly. So, and guys, the poll is at the top of chat. If you are on your phone watching, just double tap the screen. The chat will pull up. It'll be at the top. If you're on a computer, it's on the top of chat. Go and vote. It is tight right now. It is tight right now, but I also haven't gotten to say that, oh, by the way, the poll's up and we're already seeing the swing. So yeah, go. Absolutely. It's tied. It's close.
Team Fiel / Team Boardwalk. Let's go. Maybe.
So, and then our goal this week is to, by next Tuesday, announce what we are going to be doing with Keyboard of the Week. And just, we might not have every single detail, but there should be some cool stuff. Probably some giveaways. Probably some, maybe some fun stuff. I think it'd be really cool, just off the dome. We could print out. We get one of those trophies, and then we could print it out in like a picture, and then have a plaque that's like, this is the picture that won. And which just makes me laugh because I'm like, if the Wazowski goes all the way, there's gonna be a plaque of the Wazowski. So,
yeah,
watch the Ultra Boost. But what do we got going on this week?
Yeah, so obviously today we had our stream. Tomorrow we have another stream at 8 p.m. Central. And our guest tomorrow will be the man, the myth, the legend, Mr. Dixie Mech himself. Garrett will be joining us once again, talking about tons of stuff. It's going to be a good time. So come hang out with us tomorrow at 8 p.m. Central. And then Saturday, Mr. Chewart Little over there with his Dixie stickers and his eye sockets will be building a TKC 1800, which is pretty cool.
I'm excited to build it. It's also for a friend's mom. So like I'm like, ooh, I got to do a really good job because this is like a non-keyboarder person. Not that I wouldn't do a good job normally, but I'm like extra TLC for the TKC.
What color is it, by the way? I don't even
know. I haven't even opened the box. I haven't opened the box because it showed up with like a bunch of other things. And I was like, okay, that's TKC. And so I put it in the like to build soon. This is an 1800 layout board. So it's a big boy.
Yeah. Lots of switches, lots of
stabs.
soldering, lots of stabs. So it should be a little bit of a extended stream. So
man, I didn't see that coming. I legitimately didn't see that coming. So congratulations to Jinly Bean. Fiel with dots 1309. I thought it would, if it was going to win, I thought it would at least be like 1-1. But well done, Jinly Bean. Man.
Congratulations, Janelle.
Color me surprised. So who are we going to raid?
Ooh. Let's see. I think I picked last week, or did you pick?
I think we just decided to raid Lang last week.
Oh yeah, we did. Let's see.
Just taking a peek. If you guys know of anyone that is we like to try and spread our wings a little bit. So if you know someone that is not a keyboard streamer, Wednesdays we try and push into the next keyboard streamer. But if you know someone who does not stream keyboards and you'd like them to be raided, let us know. We'd be happy to send a raid their way. We like kind of exploring.
Ooh, this guy is a frequent 001 Anthony raid, and his streams are always very unique and very fun.
Is this the biology dude?
The Mr. Hornologist, the guy that does the watches?
Yeah. I'd just like to point out also that the Makers and Crafting, like all of the top channels are keyboard related. Let's get that keyboard content channel, like that entire category. Let's get that keyboard category going. But yeah, so this guy, he's Mr. 001 Anthony, who is kind of the keyboard godfather to myself, at least. He's kind of the person that I got when I started really getting into the community, especially in the streaming community, was him. So gonna go raid this guy and check him out. So but yeah, guys, remember also important dates this month. October 24th, Clack Fancy. I'm not gonna lie, I looked up and I saw it because Anubis is in a different spot, and for a second I was like, why the fuck is Anubis in my apartment? But yeah, so Clack Fancy October 24th, we'll be definitely a part of that. And yeah, it should be a good time.
Yeah.
Should be a great time. So thank you. And as always, bye Switch Tester.